I need to work on that a little more smoothly. We're live. Hello, everybody joining whenever they join, sooner or later in the future. It is Jared, and being joined by Fuseboxx, by Ben. And I wanted to ask, is it Fuselier or Fuselier, or how do you pronounce your last name?
It is pronounced Fuselier, but
Fuselier.
nobody
Okay.
gets it right.
Yeah, I it was the best shot that I had was the two that I took, and I messed with both, but that's okay. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. We're looking down the gun barrel of the last week of your campaign here, and we're both realists. We don't think that we're looking at a super high chance of it coming out on top here. But you know what? We'll do our best, and if nothing else, we'll get some people to maybe get some eyes on it that haven't seen it before, and maybe they'll stick around and go with the Fund My Comic campaign. Um, I guess the first thing I wanted to ask you, because I caught a little bit of the stream last night that you were on, and I know that you've been kind of wrestling with this, and each time it's been on Kickstarter, right?
Um, I actually this was the first time I tried Kickstarter.
Okay, was it Indiegogo last time?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I mean like with issue 1, I launched one campaign
Mm.
that didn't pan out,
Right.
but then I launched the second campaign and we knocked it out of the park. But I guess like while I was preparing the book and kind of
Mm.
going into fulfillment, I really didn't mess with the online community that much.
Okay.
I kind of took a step back, and the landscape changed like that. Like so many channels that I knew just like stopped doing promo stuff, and
No.
a lot of new guys came up that I still don't know all of them.
Right. Like me.
So I pretty much just kind of started from it was kind of starting over again.
So
And
you thought that you'd reached like a certain floor, and then come to find out that they had moved the building completely, and you were
yes.
back at like the ground floor, right? Well, that's yeah. I can see how that would definitely put a damper on things. So the first
Well,
one
yeah.
was they were both Indiegogo. The first one that didn't go through, but then the second one smashed it, and that was still Indiegogo
Yep.
for the first issue. And then second issue Indiegogo, that's where you kind of ran into a hitch, and that's where you tried Kickstarter.
Yeah, cuz we number 1 I was having trouble getting eyes on it, but then also I discovered 2/3 of the way through the project that we had been shadow banned.
I was going to ask about that. So that happened on Indiegogo,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons why you wanted to try Kickstarter.
Yeah, and I mean, originally I was considering launching on Fund My Comic,
Yeah.
but when I was considering it, like most of the projects I was seeing on there weren't even hitting 1,000.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
figured I wanted to give it a little bit more time with that.
That's entirely reasonable, because I'm probably still a ways away from trying to do any sort of distribution with mine. Well, I mean, it's done, but it needs colors, and I'm not as talented as well. I can't draw, so I'm not talented. But
Ninja.
I have to just hire people to do that for me. So I wanted to get a full color one out, because I see people like Tyler Carpenter and Nicholas Mueller, and they pull off great stuff with their books. But my vision has always kind of been a color one, so I'm still a ways away. And I was, but I'm trying to prepare. Like, I'm trying to do the work that you've been doing. I'm trying to get everything lined up and figure things out. So I talk to people and everything, and even just as soon as, oh geez, I mean, a month or two ago, I was talking to people, and they were advising me against using Fund My Comic, because of the exact reason that you just mentioned, that they were
Yeah.
having, they were it was a great platform, and they were even people who actually knew Luke, but they were like, but for you, specifically because you do not have an audience right now. It would probably be best for you to launch somewhere else that has a built-in audience. But now it looks like that's turning around because on my comic,
Yeah,
I mean, man, not just with
it was
Merkmaid, but like
quick.
yeah, like on a dime, they went from a few that weren't hitting it to all of a sudden they have Merkmaid hitting. I don't know if they're at 10K yet, but they're on pace for it if they
They're
aren't.
just about.
Yeah. And then the one that got the book that was kicked off of Kickstarter that they managed to flip over, and they
Yeah.
went from getting the 4,000 goal on Kickstarter to get 6,000 on FMC. Man, like out of nowhere. That's impressive. And I think part of it could be because um I don't want to say I personally know Luke, but I've talked to him, and he seems like a really cool guy. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would do any sort of manipulation or keeping people out of the spotlight. And I've seen him even do streams where he will talk about what's on the page in categories and stuff on Fun My Comics. So he's at least trying to get people out there if they're putting the trust in the platform, which is great for people like yourself who've been shadow banned. Um,
Yeah.
but to go back to that, because I find that entire thing very fascinating, why in the world do you think you were shadow banned? Because I don't see anything. I'll admit, I might miss stuff, but like looking at your timeline, I follow you on Twitter, and I see your uploads, and I've looked through. I don't have issue 1 yet. I was going to get it as part of the double pack, but looking
Absolutely.
at the art and everything and seeing what you do, I don't see anything that's particularly offensive. So do you think you just have the wrong friends or what?
I I've heard a couple of people who have said like, "Oh, it's political," but I'm not sure if that's the answer. I think a lot of it has to do with like I've been hearing that Indiegogo wants to start veering away from crowdfunding comics. They
Really?
mostly wanted to focus. I think they want their primary focus to be funding new technology.
Well, um, that makes sense to me because I get emails from Indiegogo frequently asking me to check out new projects, despite the fact
Yeah,
that the only thing that I have ever backed on Indiegogo has been comic books. They have never sent me a recommendation for a comic book ever. Everything that they
yeah,
send me is technology crap. Like, hey, check out this vacuum that plays Bluetooth or whatever. Check out this. I don't care. I just want a comic book. So that would actually make sense if that's the case. I would believe that. But that's
yeah, and it
shocking.
just and I mean it's even more confusing now for me because I was hearing that like EVS hasn't been shadow banned on there or any of the upper
I heard that too, that
guys.
he hadn't been. Yeah.
So I don't know if it's just an algorithm issue, it's kind of random, or I just to me the whole thing about shadow banning it's so slimy to me.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
Yeah.
like just tell me if you don't want me to fund on your website. Don't play little games like that. Like that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I've been shadow banned, but it was never in like a financial capacity. The shadow banning that I got was back in the old regime of Twitter, where I
Yeah.
had, there are a couple different shadow ban checkers that you could take, and I had a tech, an old account because I've had my account forever. The account that I have right now, Frost Comics, is one that I've been using before I had made it into a business account. I'd just been using it as just a regular account, and I'd had it for since 2009, and so that thing was shadow banned, and then it eventually got suspended, and I only got it back because of Elon Musk. Once I got it back, I got my followers restored. I lost about 600 to 700 of them, and a lot of them are probably going to be pruned because a lot of them were probably suspended too. From back when on Twitter you could actually have fun and you could just say whatever you wanted and it didn't really matter. So it sucked though because like you would just try to like again it was just you're just having fun. You'd try to just go out and have a good time, and Twitter would immediately put a boot on your virtual throat and prevent you from doing it. And I can only
Yeah.
imagine it is 1,000 times worse when you have something that you're passionate about that's a project that's work related that they're actually working against you on. That would suck. I can't imagine how bad that is.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt yeah, I mean, I was more angry about it I think last year. I
Yeah,
kind of got over it cuz I was like, well, screw them. I'm not going to
right.
go through them again.
Yeah, So then you go to Kickstarter. But I was wondering, do you think that Kickstarter has been doing kind of the same thing? Because I got to tell you, like I don't know. Look, I'll be the first to admit I don't really know Kickstarter's algorithm or how it works, but I do use Kickstarter to back comics, right? And so I was scrolling through the comics and the new releases and everything, and I was trying to see if I could find. I was gonna because I was gonna back yours, but I wanted to see if I could find it instead of searching for it.
Uh,
So right, so I was looking through, and I came across Shrine, which I'd seen people talking about, and I came across Red Sirens. I like Tonic Mole; he's a cool guy, and so I was looking. I was going to back his too, right? So I'm looking through. So I see ones that I'm interested in. I see ones that I've seen on Twitter, and I'm looking for yours, and I scroll and I scroll and I scroll and I scroll and I scroll, and I never found yours. Never found yours, and I had to type it in manually to find yours. And that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about here, because I was wondering if, like, do you have any suspicions? Do you have any confirmation? Have you had anyone tell you that they've had that same problem?
this is the first time, so
Yeah. Now, like I said, maybe it's innocuous. Like maybe it's just a coincidence that there are, because there's a billion comics, and yours doesn't have nude variants. So like maybe that's why. But but it was still shocking to me that I had to scroll for that long, and like nothing came up. That surprised me.
yeah, I mean, I was iffy about using them in the first place,
Yeah.
and now like just a week ago, all this crazy controversy about Kickstarter came up, and I was just like, well,
Yeah.
I think fund my comic is the way I'm gonna go from now on.
Yeah, it'll certainly avoid less some of the drama, I guess. Actually, so you've been doing this obviously longer than I have, since I haven't even started yet, and you've already been doing this. So, um, I was actually going to ask you that too. What are your thoughts about that whole thing about because there are certain people who will not promote people if they use a certain platform, and I don't. I'm not really sure. I mean, I understand the philosophical point. I understand the principal point. Like, I'm not going to back this platform because this platform has taken actions against people like me. I get that, but I also am sympathetic to the people who are like small time creators. Like, I'm the smallest of
Yeah.
the small time. I'm starting out. Like you used the analogy the other day. You're a paper boat. I'm a paper boat in a puddle, and I'm trying to get some sailing going. And if my best bet is Kickstarter, or at least if I determine that, and I go Kickstarter, that immediately cuts me out from getting promotion from enormous sources of promotional potential. So, what do you think about that?
I mean, I understand why people are doing that. I guess the main thing when I started my Kickstarter, I was under the impression that most of the folks who were behind all the little political games had mostly been let go from Kickstarter.
Yeah,
Um, at least that was my impression of it.
right.
I'm not as up on it as a lot of the other guys are, but I keep my ear to the ground,
Yeah,
and I thought, because like, and I was, they make you put your campaign in for review on
right. Yeah,
Kickstarter, and I was thinking, oh God, like they may just reject it all off the bat because it's not PC enough or whatever,
yeah,
and they approved it, and I was just like, well, okay, like I'll go with it until it doesn't work,
right. It
because
seems like
really,
if they would have approved it, then they wouldn't have any issues with it. You
yeah,
know.
exactly.
But then again, I'm. Is it not a similar process with Indiegogo, and yet they were shadow banning you?
Not really. Like
Really?
they don't really review the campaign in the same manner. I think they pretty much just let you launch right off the bat unless like they
Really
have a specific issue. But it's that so much of the process at Indiegogo is automated.
interesting. So, well, that makes the recent poll that they did to, what is it? Was it Nina Paley? I think where her campaign completed, she was funded, and then they just yanked the funding. They refunded everything that she had gotten
God,
donated after the
that's
fact.
nuts.
That is astonishing to me that they actually, and I'm sure to them it's peanuts, right? But like to think that they would be so upset or bothered or whatever, or someone complained two or three times, and they decided to actively take money out of their gains. They threw away money because they would have gotten their platform fee from that funded project. They instead they refunded all of it because they were mad about whatever they were mad about with Nina, which is shocking to me. I don't know, man. That's crazy. But I'm glad to see that Fund My Comic is taking off because lower
Oh
platform
yeah.
fee. Luke Stone, a easy to talk to, approachable dude. I mean, that's what you want, and no censorship shenanigans or none of that crap.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. And I mean, the
yeah,
fact that we've spoken to him personally kind of goes
exactly.
with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I don't know. Like I guess it's silly to think this, but like I see. I mean, like yeah, you've just got issue one out right now, but like to me, I look up to that because you've got issue one, right? You've done it. You've done issue one. I don't have an issue one. So like, right, that's amazing. That's really cool. So like I look at guys like you and I look at guys like Luke and everyone that I've talked to, and you guys all been extremely cool and extremely approachable, and you're always willing to like listen or give advice, and that's awesome. And so having someone like that who's in charge of a platform that's free speech oriented, and I mean, that's just great. I don't know what else you could really want from a platform, especially with the low fee
Oh
and everything
yeah.
too.
I know, like, for a long while there were some folks talking about starting a website for people like in CG and stuff to launch on, but it always seemed like kind of a pipe dream.
Yeah,
So it's great to finally see something come together.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, I also wanted to take a look at the comic with you. So, do you want to share your screen and go through the Kickstarter with me, or you want me to do it, or how would you? What's more comfortable
Uh,
for you?
whichever you prefer.
Why,
I'm
why don't you guide me through it since you're the one who put it together and I'm still a Kickstarter noob? So,
alrighty. Yeah. I mean, I'm a Kickstarter noob too, but you know.
I guess that's true. If I'm level zero, you might be level one, but at least you're level one.
I mean, you know, I'm not funded, but you know, let me see. All right.
Cool.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so looking at it here, um, yeah. Now keep in mind, I'm very interested in issue one, but I haven't read it yet. So I might ask questions that have been answered in issue one that I haven't had a chance to read yet. So I guess the first thing is, while we look through it here, when did you have the idea for your comic, and what made you say, "I'm going to do it"?
Oh God, I have had this specific story in my head for at least 15 years.
Really?
I've been playing with this idea for a long time. I did not start off like with the ambition of getting into comics.
Right.
I originally, when I was a teenager, I wanted to get into film, and I went to film school and everything. But some things have come up in my life that have kind of stalled that out,
Hmm.
and in a weird way, that was kind of a blessing in disguise because I'm looking at the film industry right now, and it's horrible.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But like, you know, I've been casually a fan of comics.
Hmm.
Like I wasn't big into them, but I wasn't like totally estranged from them. Like I did read some comics growing up,
Yeah.
but I never had the money or the patience to go through like 100 issues of like
Right.
a run, you know, of
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. I understand. What in
But
the where did the inspiration come from? Like, what did you draw on when the idea popped into your head 15 years ago?
funnily enough, it was a combination of things. It was I had just seen the first Pirates of the Caribbean in theaters,
Okay.
and I freaking loved it. And
Yeah,
I
of
loved
course.
the idea and like uh, the romantic view, I guess, of like the pirate's life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to take that and have fun with it and adapt it to a time period where it's like you've got more options with like guns and gadgets and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, space pirates were something that I was familiar with from like anime,
Right.
but the big thing about it was like I always loved the concept, but it was never executed in a way that I liked or like I preferred. It was
Mm.
always something either kind of lightly touched on or like they did something kind of weird with it. Um, and so it was like I wanted to do my own spin on the concept of a space pirate. And I actually just like, uh, I read through the concepts of like what real pirates did.
Yeah.
And it's actually a lot different than you'd expect from like the movies and such. Like pirates were not these pure evil monsters, they actually a lot of them kind of functioned on differing levels of morality, and they were actually
Really?
kind of like your first major democracies coming out of Europe into the new world. And
Huh.
so I wanted to play around with that a little bit and, incorporate some historical stuff, but into a futuristic setting. Because the big thing I've noticed in my life is that history is constantly repeating itself.
Yeah.
So I wanted to play with that, and I like the dynamics of like the character dynamics from Treasure Island,
Hmm.
but done in a different way, I guess.
So Treasure Island pirates, but like in the future.
Yeah, and also maybe mix a little bit of Ocean's 11 in there. Maybe mix a
Mm.
little bit of. It was pretty much just I picked and chose my favorite things from different genres, and I kind of
Yeah.
blended them together.
Very cool. So with this is this the cover to issue 2?
Yes,
Okay.
this cover was done by Jay Krager, and it's one of my favorite images, which is why I
Who is the
chose it as the
badass dude
cover.
up there? Who is that?
That is our villain for issue 2. That is a pirate
Okay, I get the
hunter.
villain vibe off of him, so I dig that. Yeah. I love the
he,
arm. Like the cybernetic arm is badass.
he is a British naval officer who specializes in hunting pirates, and his name is Wellington. And as you can
Wow.
tell, he has been rebuilt quite a bit to where he's very unhinged.
Wow. Do we meet him in issue 1? Is he a carryover from
No.
issue 1? He's
No.
brand new for issue 2.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
He's hunting them for what they did in issue 1, basically.
Okay. So they got into some stuff, and now they have to deal with the consequences, and the consequences are this big mother hubber with the
Yeah,
cybernetic arm.
I
Okay.
can I can tell you without giving any like much of it away.
All right.
I can tell you that the big crux of issue 1 is that we meet our main character Cyrus Lawson,
Yep,
who
saw his name in the description. Yep.
yeah, he's very much the naive kid, though he's had kind of a rough upbringing in his life. He's a refugee from America. America no longer exists,
Hmm.
and he's been pretty much bouncing around from colony to colony, and he finally kind of settled into this small, out of the way colony as part of the colony guard.
Hmm.
So he's kind of like what you'd think of with like National Guard or something like that, but
Okay.
on a smaller scale.
Right.
And he was pretty much expecting to be kind of the small town sheriff. He's got a very heroic aspect to him, although he sees things very much in black and white. But right at the beginning of issue 1, he is that his idea of just living the small, quiet hero life is ripped right from under him as
Mm.
the pirates of the ship Hazard have invaded his settlement looking for a piece of data that's going to lead to a treasure. And this treasure, I don't want to, I can't say what it is just
Right.
yet,
That's fair. Yeah.
but it's very valuable to the point where all the nations of Earth, a bunch of pirates, everybody's got their eyes on it. It's a rat race in the making.
Wow.
And so, anyway, our boy is kidnapped by these pirates. So issue 2 picks up where
Whoa.
he's kind of settling in on the ship, figuring out the ins and outs of like what they're doing, and he's pretty much got to learn to get over his very rigid sense of morality because things aren't quite as simple as he thinks they are in real life.
Yeah, that would be quite a shock if you're used to that, like the National Guard equivalent, the National Guard life. You're black and white, and all of a sudden you're working with pirates, especially with the complex morality that you alluded to earlier, the way the pirates used to be, which I was totally unaware of. By the way, that was news to me. I had no idea about that. That's incredible. That is an awesome cover though.
I love it. And this is,
Yeah.
of course, the cover for issue 1.
Yes. So
Yeah,
who is he the guy in the center there with the
no, that
blue
is
shirt?
that is the oh the guy at the center. Yeah, that's Cyrus right there.
Okay. Yeah.
And the guy, the big head here,
Yeah.
is the captain of the ship
Oh, okay.
Hazard,
All right. Cool.
and his name is Ivory, and he is kind of the mascot of the series in a lot of ways because he is your he has that figure of he is the futuristic pirate.
Yeah.
Only instead of an eye patch, he has a really badass cybernetic eye.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's pretty. That's pretty cool. It's like it's a little traditional, but it's a little cyberpunk. I dig it.
Oh yeah, and Ivory is my favorite character. I can tell you that.
Nice.
He's got that. He's got the charismatic, wise ass nature to him that I love.
How big is his crew?
Um, Fairly big. What it is like a lot of the lower positions on the ship tend to cycle in and out. They pick up a
Hmm.
lot of temporary work. Um, and there's about let's see, one, two, three, four, five. There's about 5 regulars on the ship, and everybody else kind of comes and goes. Think of it kind of like mercenaries almost, where it's
Yeah.
like you pick up some guys, they go with you for a job or two, and they're like, all right, well we're done now. We're gonna go off to a different ship, or we're gonna
You
settle
stay at
into this
port. You pick up some
colony.
new workers. That kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's actually very important in issue 1. I'll say that because
Oh.
there's some folks they're working with that are less than savory.
As pirates? What? Who else do we have on the cover of one here?
This is the quartermaster Serpent. He is
Okay.
second in command, and his big function is that he also operates as the ship's resident con man. So he'll don different disguises. He can act. He knows how to weasel his way into situations.
Nice.
And that's the thing. Like he was disguised as a bartender in issue 1. So,
Okay. Cool.
and we got Kodiak over here, who is the away team leader, and he is
Oh,
very
cool.
much the no nonsense, hard ass.
Yeah, he
don't
looks
really
like a
give
hard ass. Yeah, I very much get that vibe from him for sure.
But I can tell you, he's got sort of a tragic past.
Okay.
So there's a reason why he's got a hard edge to him. But we
Good
don't
deal.
we don't learn about that in these 2 issues, where it's going to be a little bit down the line.
Right. Got to make
Gonna
us. Got to make us
explore.
way for it. Right. Yeah.
And we've got Code, who is this gorgeous woman here, who
Yes. A huge
she
guy.
she's very much like the she's very much the how do I put it, computer engineer,
Mm,
in that
okay.
she messes with using viruses on other ships.
Yeah.
Also, she's very she doesn't talk a lot. She's very silent, and she's got a hard edge to her, in that, she'll pull a knife on you if you look at her funny.
Right.
You know, you very no nonsense. And
That's
we got
actually I never thought I just I think that's incredibly clever. The because as soon as you said she figures out a way to use viruses on other ships, I was like, holy crap, that's brilliant. Like if you were a pirate and you were a space pirate and you've got ships with technology and computers, obviously you'd want to use computer viruses as a way to disable systems to make it easier to do piracy. That's incredible. That's really cool. So my compliments there. That's awesome.
well, thank you. That's the thing. It's all about taking the best aspects of cyberpunk, mixing them with
Yeah.
some action, and I love the and I like taking some of the aesthetics of like heists
Yeah.
and applying that to, because I feel like, in a lot of ways, like if you're thinking of pirates in the future, they're not going to operate the way pirates did back in the day, because pirates are
Right.
basically smugglers.
Pretty much.
Although
Yep.
they'll take cargo by force, basically.
Yeah.
So they'll use whatever means they need to. And over in the corner, we have got this is Bit, the guy with the blonde hair. He is very new to the ship. He's sort of he's sort of a hacking expert, not in the same way as like Code. His big thing is like getting past security systems,
Mm.
and he's very new to the crew, and they don't quite trust him yet. And the big thing about him is that I think he's kind of known for being incompetent, but he's not at the same time.
Oh, bad reputation for him to have. Poor guy.
And then behind him, like, it's so funny, when we were doing this cover, I didn't even put it together that that character behind him was the character Fuseboxx, who's in the comic itself.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was just somebody who was random. So we had him colored kind of gray, but he's a black guy.
Oh,
And
whoops. Oh, so you have a black guy in gray face. Is that offensive in the future?
well, Fuseboxx, he's a great character, because I can, it's not really explored in these first two issues, but he's gonna develop like a closer relationship with Fuseboxx. I mean, with
Mm.
Cyrus,
Okay.
because he is he's relatively young, and he functions as the pilot for the ship.
Oh,
Technically,
cool.
Ivory could pilot himself, but the thing is, Ivory is an alcoholic, so he's always drinking, so he pretty much can't drive.
Nice.
So Fusebox is the pilot, but in the issue one they had him accompanying Bit to make sure that Bit didn't try to pull anything.
Okay. No, that makes sense. If they don't trust him and he's incompetent, yeah, I'd probably have a babysitter on too.
And this is our boy Wellington, who's going to be appearing in issue
Oh,
two. And he's
and
he's hunt.
he's got a big gun out to go with the big arm.
Oh yeah, and
That's awesome.
he hates pirates with a passion. Kind of like he's like the dark side of Cyrus, I guess, is the best way to think of that.
Yeah, that's
Cyrus
a good
Cyrus
comparison.
hates pirates too, but he's not quite as extreme.
Right. Uh, do you? I like in my head looking at him. You know, I have like a certain idea of what he would sound like. So, with his accent, is that more? It wouldn't be Cockney. What would be his accent if he's kind of British?
I mean, the more I've thought about it, the more I've thought he might have a bit of a Cockney affectation, but
Okay.
the thing about it is I didn't want to lean into stereotypes in the dialogue when I was writing. So
Yeah.
I pretty much just wrote him as kind of plain spoken. You know, he has a British accent, but it's like he doesn't really use too many British isms.
Gotcha.
I kept it
Gotcha.
kind of mainstream because I was trying to think of in terms of like I don't want British people reading it and being like, oh, they think we're all, we all, oh, jolly good,
Yeah.
sir, jolly good.
Yeah. Every yeah, he says pip pip cheerio randomly, and that's yeah. When you write accents, when you write characters, do you usually try to write like put like apostrophes where they might have like an
I
accent, or
have
where do you?
bef- I have before. I tried to avoid that with Outlaw Nights. I tried to do little things like I'll throw in like a word here or there
Hmm.
that will go with a different dialect or a different accent, but it's not pronounced.
Right. Did you since this is set in the future, did you try to invent your own like slang and slurs and stuff like that they use for different people?
I did a little bit,
Yeah.
uh, but looking back on it, I'm a little embarrassed by it.
Oh, really? I have to ask why.
I had a character say, I think in issue one, I had a character say, "What in the quad?" And I meant to, like, "Oh, what in the quadrant?" And the
Yeah.
more, and it's one of those things where it was like, it seemed like it was a decent idea at the time. The more I look back on it, the more I'm like, that just sounds awkward. And like,
Yeah. Or I mean, unless he's just really proud of his legs, I guess he could. Yeah, I see what you mean though. I'm very very fortunate. What I'm writing is set in current year, so I can just use what slang everyone is using now, and then if someone picks it up 20 years, they'll say, "What the hell?"
like, I'm gonna be doing Outlaw Nights. I think I want to do 8 to 10 issues of this arc, and maybe do spin-offs after that because I have some ideas for that.
Yeah.
But I'm also I've been talk with like my best bud. He and I have been tossing back and forth. We're thinking of doing a fantasy series.
Oh, really?
So that's a project I'm thinking about going into comics as like a side gig.
Yeah. Is he? Would he be co-writing or would he be drawing?
Mainly co-writing is that
Okay.
we've been trying to build kind of a mythology together.
Okay.
Because that's my favorite thing about fantasy, particularly like my favorite writer is Tolkien.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
Well,
the ultimate world builder.
yeah.
Although
Pretty
I
much
would
the gold
say
standard.
the writers of Elder Scrolls are doing a great job catching up.
Yeah. But
Elder
it's
Scrolls is
it's noteworthy
so
that those are the writers of Elder Scrolls to catch up to Tolkien, though,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. But they have
But I
done a good
mean,
job, definitely.
yeah, like the Elder Scrolls lore is so complex
Hmm.
because they go
Yeah.
by the idea of like, oh, it's not just one set of gods for everybody. It's like each culture has their own set of gods and their own interpretations of stories, and some of them are considered false, some of them are considered true. It's really complicated, and I love it.
Yeah, it was when I first got into Elder Scrolls with Oblivion, and then I remembered, oh right, there was Morrowind. So when I started doing research on that game, if I wanted to go back and play it and everything, I was like, oh, that's a whole different region. Like they're all part of the same
Mm-hmm.
world, and it's just like this whole game is just a different region. Wow, it's amazing.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot. Most of the images we've got here are promo images.
Hmm.
Although I am gonna try to incorporate these into the book, like probably, probably is kind of like padding on either end
Yeah.
of the story.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and they were all done by our interior artist Juanito, who
Very
worked
cool.
on Dwarves versus Lions. and our colorist is Marcos Martins. And like, I love the work they've been able to produce together.
It's
Because the
awesome.
big, I think I've mentioned this in other streams before, but like, we have different art team working on this book, primarily because we had a big issue with in issue one. The big thing that happened was that my artist that I was working with, halfway through the book, he just vanished off the face of the earth.
Really?
Nobody's heard from him since. It's
Wow.
bizarre. He just, I don't know what happened. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, because
But
that's not even a scam. Then that's just like, I mean, he if he was producing art and then he was just gone.
yeah, like, he hasn't touched
What
his
did you
social
do?
media.
Did you keep what he had done and have someone try to come in and finish it, or did you have to redo it?
I kept what he did, and Simon
That's
Potier
fascinating.
Simon Potier stepped up and finished the book for us.
Wow.
And he did, and he did his best to kind of mimic Render's style, so it doesn't look like it doesn't look like a
It's not
Frankenstein book.
jarring. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a yeah.
You can tell the different art styles, but they're complementary, I think.
Yeah. Man, that's wild. I've not heard of that happening to anybody else. That's nuts.
Yeah, I've heard that things like that happen, but usually it's that an artist, I guess, like, gets overwhelmed or has some kind of problem and they just like nope out. But in his
Yeah.
case, in Render's case, it was that, like, he just vanished altogether. Like, nobody's heard from him.
Right. Yeah, that's the part that's so weird because I've heard of scammers and I've seen people get caught in that. I've heard of people that are, they take on work and then they don't do it and they get dropped by the creator. So I've heard of like all these other things, but I've never heard of someone just straight up like unsolved mysteries vanishing. That's the crazy part. Man,
So in a
like you
weird
said,
way,
I
it's
hope he's
kind of
okay, but
valuable.
geez.
I think it adds a little value to the book.
Yeah, right. You could I don't want to say it, but like if it was ever concerned that was his last book, you could say the last half of a comic book ever drawn by him. Oh my goodness,
It was
that's
like, it would
crazy.
have probably been prudent to like have Simon just redo it from the get go, but I just loved the artwork that was
Yeah,
done so far. Like, I was just like, I gotta keep it. Just, you know,
I
it
had
was too sentimental, I guess.
an artist that was it was a pretty good scammer, and we managed to catch her. I don't really know, it's just communicating by text, but we caught her doing what had to either be, it was either she was like, it was either scamming or she was like, um, just, I don't know how to say mentally deficient in a nice way. Like, because like there's a character that was suddenly an elf, and I'm like, this character doesn't have shoes like that, and she doesn't have pointed ears. I don't understand what you did with this. And she would try to explain, oh, well, I'll fix it. I said, you're not understanding my question. I'm asking, why is she an elf? I know you'll fix it because there's no way I'm paying you for this. I want to know why you drew an elf when she's not an elf. What was the thought process that happened here? And I never got a straight answer. So, um, yeah, I had a couple of friends. When I say I had a couple of friends I showed it to, and I was like, what is going on? And they're like, bro, this is a scammer. This person is tracing. So I ended up switching and finding my current artist, who is
Oh my
amazing.
god.
But yeah, that was a weird experience too. Nothing like having half of a book done and then someone noping out, but yeah, definitely a unique experience.
Yeah, I was freaking out at the
I
time, but
bet. Jeez,
we managed to
man,
pull it together,
which
and
is
I,
impressive, especially that he took that and worked off of it and managed to kind of make the styles work together instead of having a style clash.
oh yeah. I mean, it worked out really well, mainly because like Simon Potier's art style was already pretty close.
Yeah,
I would say, like, you can see the differences, but it's not jarring, and it's
yeah,
not like ugly or anything. They're both gorgeous pieces. That's the thing. That's the most exciting part of this for me, is getting the artwork back. Like,
absolutely the same for me. Every time I've gotten all of the pages back, and so now I'm waiting for the colors. So like every time I got a page back from Marcus Rosado, tremendous artist. Every time he would send a page back to me, I'd be like, "Oh, let's check it out," you know. And now when it gets colored, I'm like, "Oh, it looks so good colored," you know. So every time it's like every time I have a special ringtone on my phone when I get email on my comic account. And when those come in, I'm like, all right, let's see what we got, and can't wait.
and yeah, these are examples of some of the interior pages. They are going to be colored and everything and lettered. It's just that
Right.
that's part of the reason I got the funding goal so high, is that I need the funding to continue,
Right.
because I don't I don't like to ask my artists to do work up front. I like to
Yeah.
pay them right
Absolutely. Yeah.
when it's done.
I'm the same way. I want to pay them up front. I want them to know that they can, rely on me as somebody that's going to help them, put money in their pocket and not just ask them to do for favors or for exposure or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially
Yeah.
since like all the horror stories we heard about, like the mainstream, how
Yeah.
they would just completely screw
That
their
is
artists
shocking,
over.
right?
Yeah, it's like you wanna be a step above the mainstream practices.
Definitely. Definitely. Because these are like for me. I'm not gonna say like I'm not gonna Marcus lives in like Brazil or whatever. I'm not gonna go drinking with him on the weekend. But like I'm this is a personal relationship that I'm building with somebody, and I want them to trust me and want to work with me. So like reliability is really important. So I absolutely understand where you're coming from there.
Oh, and this is General. Forgot to mention him, but he's mainly
He looks
introduced.
cool, sweet beard.
He's introduced in this issue, like right in the beginning, and he's the old timer on the ship.
Nice.
That's a gray beard.
So he's
The
like
big,
bootstrapped to use a pirate's comparison.
yeah, I would say like,
He's been there the longest.
the thing about most of these characters, that most of them are older than they look, because since it's the future, human longevity has gotten better, so
Mm,
people are living longer and healthier.
I dig it. Very cool. Is that the ship?
Yeah, that
Ah,
is
cool.
Hazard.
Very cool.
I always, when I think of Hazard, I think of like it. I wanted it to be kind of different from your usual type of ship, in that I think a lot of ships in sci-fi feel very formal,
Hmm.
and I wanted the interior to feel like it's like, all right, we're all just hanging out.
Yeah.
Like, we got the music playing, we got pizza boxes around the place, like.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a proper pirate ship, not Star Trek.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this character, it's funny. Like, I advertised this character when I first did the issue 1 campaign,
Mhm.
but he ended up getting pushed into issue 2. And I think a lot of people were bummed about that, because they loved
Mm.
the in the promo art with him. He's lopping off a guy's arm, and
That's
he became a
intense. So
fan
yeah,
favorite.
yeah, I see why.
But he is going to be introduced in this issue. He doesn't play a he doesn't really play a big role in this issue. It's just,
Mm.
this is kind of a teaser, I guess,
Yeah.
for things to come, because he is a rival pirate. He goes by the name Taurus, and his ship is called the Magdalena, and he is very, I would say he kind of foils Ivory, in
Mm.
that Ivory is more of a sly fox. He's a charmer. He's charismatic. Taurus is a bull, as his name suggests. He is very much he's on drugs all the time. He's like high on
Oh,
speed,
whoa.
and you don't want to tell him what he doesn't want to hear because he will cut your frickin' arm off.
No kidding. Woo.
And as you can see, like his ship is very sloppy and in disrepair.
Man, yeah.
And in another, like I didn't put the image on this campaign. Like Render did uh, a page from like a page with him in it, and that was the page that he was cutting the guy's arm off on.
Mm.
And it was funny. Like when I first got the page back, I was looking at it, and I was looking at a lot of the pirates around him. I noticed like a lot of them had like cybernetic arms, and I was like, why do they all have so many cybernetic arms? And then I realized, I'm like, oh, it's because he's chopping all their arms off. Like, you know, like.
Uh, I wonder if there's one guy where it's like he's just sick of it, like he keeps chopping the same arm off and he keeps reattaching it, but he just won't stop. So he's just agitated because it's a repair bill every time, you know?
But yeah, he is trouble to come.
Mm, very cool.
And this is a case of a, I, it's funny. I haven't looked at the script in a hot minute, so I
Yeah.
don't even remember this part that well.
So
I think
what's your process like? Do you write the script, have that all ready, and that's done, and that's ready to go? But have you
yeah,
written issues ahead, or do you write one at a time, or how do you have like an outline that you write from?
I have an outline. Um, when I started writing issue one, I went completely off track from the outline because I just found it was kind of developing in a different direction.
That happens, yeah, yeah,
Um, but I have it out in my head, like I know what's going on, what they're after, how the arc is going to end.
yeah,
The biggest thing is just adding the excitement in the middle to
yeah.
keep the story flowing.
And you want to leave that enough,
Um,
fluid enough that you can kind of be inspired and change stuff up, right? So,
Definitely, because I mean,
yeah,
I've been thinking a lot about issue three in particular because there's a
yeah.
character that's going to be introduced in issue three that I'm very interested in, I've been putting her together more and more. Yes, it is a girl. It's a female.
Right. Is the lady in this page, are those mechanical arms too?
No, she's just wearing gloves.
Okay, just long gloves. All right. I thought I could go either way there, so I wanted to ask.
She is a pirate, and
Okay.
I'm pretty sure she's taunting Cyrus here, if I'm remembering it correctly.
Well, yeah, she looks like she probably is.
Either that or she's trying to like deceive him. I'm
Right.
trying to remember which one it was. Because that was just kind of a moment I had in there where it's like it's showing like that's the kind of station they're at, and
Yeah.
Serpent's trying to keep Cyrus on a leash. Like, hey, look, don't go talking to these people. Don't go like messing around. And Cyrus is just kind of like, I'll do whatever the hell I choose to do. But yeah, these are the posters available. The
That is that's such a perfect poster image, the cover. So,
I
that's
had
perfect.
to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this was another image done by Jay Krager. It was going to be a possible cover, and I decided against it. And I was like, well, I wanted to do something with it because I love it.
Yeah.
Because this is an event that happens in the issue. I can tell you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love this scene in particular. Ivory versus Wellington.
This may not be terribly important, but I'm curious. When people get their arms replaced in your universe, like if you're if let's say that he's left-handed. Is he is he ambidextrous now? Does he automatically have like dexterity improved for like offhands if they get them replaced cybernetically?
Um, I would say no. I would
Really?
say
Okay.
like the cybernetics are well advanced to the point where when you get your arm replaced, it's even better than having your regular arm. Like
Okay.
it's capable of even more things.
Cool. Cool. Just weird stuff that I think about as a sci-fi guy. So
It's good to think about those things.
right,
Sometimes I get so caught up in the big picture that
right,
like I kind of there's like some of the mechanics I kind of let go over my head.
right. It's easy to do
So
that when you get caught up in that big picture. So I completely understand.
that's why I like, yeah, people have done that with me before where I know there was a panel in issue 1 where I had a checkpoint set up outside of the planet, which is
Yeah.
basically the security, and somebody was asking me like, "Oh, like how do you make sure that the ships go through there? Like how do they not just like go around it or whatever?" And I was like, "Oh shit." And then I was like, and so I just came up with, "Oh, there's a gravity well that pulls them through." Yeah.
That now you might not be writing Star Trek, but that is a Star Trek tier technical explanation right there. Right out of thin air. I respect that, sir.
But it's good. Like I like, because I didn't think about
Right?
that at
Yeah.
first, and so somebody held me to the fire. It's like, oh shit, I need to think of that.
So I wanted to ask, what is the creature that is pictured here in this poster?
That is a random alien from Therese, which is the colony that Cyrus lives on in issue 1. The thing about it is this poster was done by Brian Lubdell,
Mm-hmm.
and I sent him like the image, promo images I had from issue 1. I was just like, could you make a poster with like a really cool pinup? And he wanted to do code for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah, of course.
And the thing is, like on the cover of issue 1, code is standing next to it, but it wasn't like, like they're not connected at all to each other in the story. It was just like it was a cool looking creature, so Render wanted to put it on the cover. And it just happens to be standing to Code, and Brian thought, oh, that must be her pet, and so he drew them together. And I was like, well, I mean, it looks really cool, so yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, what the
Like,
hell? Cool.
but yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, we got this image of Hazard. This image was in issue 1, and
Cool.
it's probably my favorite depiction of Hazard.
Yeah, I like that one. I was originally playing around with that one for the video thumbnail because I thought that the ship looked so cool. I like the angle, so I definitely agree. It reminds me in a lot of ways of the Defiant, like with the like from Star
Yeah.
Trek Deep Space Nine. Yeah, I love that little ship. So that's high praise for me. I love the way it looks.
Oh, definitely. And like had I had little to nothing to do with the design of the ship. I
Oh, who
pretty
designed it?
much I pretty much told Render, I was like, just, come up with a cool ship design. I
Nice.
didn't specify anything in the script, and he came up with this idea, and I thought it was so good. Where because the captain's name is Ivory,
Mhm.
if you look at Hazard from the top down, it looks like an elephant head.
That's awesome. Oh, I can totally see that. Yeah, that's awesome.
So
That's
I
really clever.
freaking love that.
Yeah, that's great, man.
And there's Kodiak again, this time done by Juanito.
Looking
And
harder and harder ass than ever.
oh yeah, and this was him doing another promo image of Cyrus and Serpent, and I don't I didn't know what he was thinking of with this ship right here, but I'm thinking that I'm gonna probably make that Taurus's ship, the Magdalena,
Cool.
because he
So
just
of
he.
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying like he threw that in there, and I was just like, that doesn't look like Hazard. What is that? Like it looks cool.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever it is, it looks cool. Yeah. I was going to ask how much, because you've got some of the pages done. How much of issue 2 do you have done?
All of the line art is done. All
Really?
25
Wow. Okay.
pages. We just need to
That's
get it
awesome.
colored, and also I'm gonna probably bug Juanito to do a few edits here and there.
Sure.
But yeah, the main thing we just need to get it colored and get it lettered.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome, man. Um, so other than your own book, and I guess the upcoming fantasy book, when you pull the trigger on that, I know that you do some streaming. You mostly do gameplay streams, right?
What was that?
I know you do some streaming. Do you mostly do gameplay streams?
Yeah, I used to do live streams where I'd hang out with a group of folks and chat.
Yeah.
And I mean, if people want to like promote their books on my channel, I totally am willing to do that. I don't have a huge audience with my live streams. I tend to maybe get 5 people if I'm lucky.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I felt like it was kind of aimless for a while. We were just kind of chatting about whatever,
Yeah.
and I felt like it just wasn't. I feel like it's a good to have a topic.
Yeah. That's true.
And so I decided like I was gonna back off of that for a while, and I've mostly just been uploading like me playing through Fallout New Vegas and stuff like that.
Is that your favorite Fallout?
Yes,
That is the correct answer. So that's good.
hands down.
Absolutely yes. Yeah, that
I
one's
actually
tremendous.
I came up a long time ago. I came up with a TV show idea where I was gonna combine Fallout's 3 and New Vegas.
Really?
Yeah, but Bethesda basically told me, yeah, that's nice. Okay, you can't do anything with that. If you do, we'll sue you. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh, thanks, Bethesda. Um, I've
Now I
got.
hear they're coming out with a Fallout 4 TV show. So I hope it sucks.
Well, if it's based on Fallout 4, it probably will because it's not based on New Vegas. So whatever. I don't know. I liked 4 okay. I didn't finish it the way I finished the others though because it didn't draw me in the way that the others did. Like the others, I don't know. It felt like it really made you kind of earn every scrap of advancement in technology and weaponry that you got. And in 4, they slap you into a freaking power armor like right off the bat, and they're like, "Here,
Yeah.
fight a death claw." I was like, "Why am I running into a death claw? Why am I in power armor? What is happening? What?" Yeah, I don't know. Felt a little
I think like
ridiculous.
the main thing about 4 I enjoyed was the settlement building.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. That was interesting.
that was mainly it. Like there wasn't anything really innovative about it.
No, yeah, it was, and it was odd because they took. I mean, don't get me wrong. This applies to Fallout 3 and New Vegas as well. But I always thought it was really strange that they just took the Fallout property and they just slapped it in the Gamebryo engine, which was I thought that was really odd that they did that. And I mean, they made it work. Three was good, and New Vegas was New Vegas. But New Vegas was what it was because it had the team that it had working on it. It had the writing that they had in it. Like
Oh yeah.
that you could have taken New Vegas and put that setting and that story and that writing in almost any kind of game engine, and it still would have been amazing because you would have had New Vegas there. So I know I know a lot of New Vegas fans. I've actually my concept artist is she's working on a New Vegas fan comic that she's just making for herself
Nice.
for no other reason. And she is tremendously talented, so it'll look good whenever she finishes it. If she shares it with everybody else, I'm not sure if she will or not. I've seen previews. I'm not sure if I was supposed to. I'm just kidding. Rosalind Summers, by the way, is her name on Twitter. For anyone who's watching in the future who wants to check out her work, she is incredibly talented. Wonderful, wonderful person too. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, she's great. Um, she helped me with ton of stuff. She's did the cover for my first issue. She's helped me with everything, logos, banner art, all that good stuff. She's great.
Nice.
So let's see here. Okay, we have gone for a little over an hour. I didn't have much of an audience tonight. I apologize for that, but on a
Oh,
small, brand new channel, it's kind of to be expected. But what I would love to do is just keep this archived, and then as soon as you go live on Fund My Comic, we have an interview right here. I can blast it out, help you do the promo, get as many eyes on everything as possible. As soon as you go live again, the address will be different. It won't be on Kickstarter. It'll be on Fund My Comic, but the content will be the same, and we'll still be backing it for the same purpose. So I think that would be the best way that I can try and give you as much of a push as my tiny channel can.
I appreciate the hell out of it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for now. But again, thank you so much for coming on. I have loved the conversation. You've got a hell of a project. I am very interested in it. I actually, the last campaign, I backed it. And so I was going to back this one again, no matter what. Like when you did I actually did the 2-for-1. So I backed it
Yes.
before it didn't go through, and I backed it here again. I'm going to back it again on Fund My Comic. Eventually, I'm going to be able to read issues 1 and 2. So I'm going to get
It's
caught
gonna
up
happen.
one sooner or later. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So thank you again. I've had a blast. But I'll cut you loose, and I'm going to go ahead and hop off here too. Get back to editing my tremendously long video, which I hope people will check out once it's live. So, all right, man. Thank you again. Have a great night. Take it easy. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Take care.